Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Winter and today we have a bit of a different intro for one of these videos. So you see, today I'm playing Hollow Knight and this recording is about 4 hours. And I started editing this recording and I realized that the microphone audio died 15 minutes into the 4-hour recording. My old microphone here, completely dead. Now I have this new microphone, which is, I think it sounds way better anyway. But I've had this microphone for a few years. I've only started using it for the last few months. Actually, let's see when I bought this microphone. I bought this microphone in 2021, almost exactly 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years in July. I bought this microphone in 2021, and I only started recently using it the last few months, of course, for this channel. And yeah, it was a piece of crap. It was pretty cheap, and it's just something to get me by. It was about time for me to get a new microphone anyway, but you can imagine my surprise when 15 minutes into the 4-hour recording, my microphone completely died. And editing the video, of course, I didn't realize that until I started editing the video. I was like, what am I going to do with this 4-hour recording? But when I first started uploading videos on this channel, I was unhappy with the fact that I couldn't edit the game audio and the microphone audio separately. And a lot of the time the game audio would be way too loud and my voice would be way too quiet. So luckily, I have already set up a way to record my microphone and game audio separately. It's actually very easy. I just didn't know that you could do that. So anyway, with that being said, the game audio is perfectly fine. It's just the microphone audio stopped working. And so, before giving up hope, I decided, why not just edit this video down and write a little script to go with the video? And so that's what I did. So I'm just gonna narrate this video and show the gameplay because I did a lot of major things in this video that I just didn't want to get lost. So, without further ado, enjoy the video. After loading up the game, I did my intro and did some thinking on how I should proceed. I decided to do some exploration. To be frank, at this point, I had no clue what to do next. I figured the best plan of action was to do a little backtracking. I was struck with the bright idea to go all the way back to the beginning of the game. Surely this would lead to nothing, right? Well, to my surprise, I was wrong. After discovering a secret passageway I originally overlooked, I came across a new area, the Howling Cliffs. Now, this was an interesting area. I met Gorb, and admittedly forgot about him until I started editing this video. I found a tree. I hit the tree, and I started collecting essence. While collecting essence, I ran into Cornifer, and of course, I support his local business and buy a map. After I finish collecting the essence, I find a little area and free a worm, which I've since learned is actually a grub. I continue on exploring this new area, and at this point, I find an insane charm. Now, outside of what I've personally seen in my playthrough, I don't know much of anything about this game, but I can only assume this is probably one of the best charms in the game, at least for someone who takes as much damage as I do. I stumbled across Journey's Blessing. I believe this charm gives me an abundance of health at the cost of not being able to heal. I'm sure this charm is great, but I don't see myself using it unless I'm desperate. For now, I'll just keep it in the back of my mind and move on. Continuing on with my exploration, I find an interesting room. Just inside, I find a rather helpful fellow. After a quick cutscene, he grants me the ability to perform the Cyclone Slash. I will admit, in this 4-hour recording session, I don't use it a single time against an actual enemy, but it's still pretty cool. I return to the world below, specifically the Queen Station. I spot this mass shard once again, and I decided to give a solid attempt at figuring out how to get into the area, and I easily make it through, after dying once. Now, this is rather unimportant, but I thought it was funny, so please enjoy this little clip. I decided to brave Crystal Peak once again and finally ran into Cornifer. I buy his map and can relax knowing that if I die, I can make my way back to my shade without getting lost. For those unaware, this is indeed the area I got my first few deaths of the game. I practically rage quit at the end of that recording session. I find a bench, and of course, I don't get to just waltz in and sit on the bench. No, I have to take on a mini-boss. Honestly, this guy wasn't too bad. He was really easy to beat, in fact. But of course, in this moment, I was in panic mode. You see, I actually didn't know the last time I'd saved, and thus I really didn't want to die. Unfortunately for me, the added pressure of my desperation did me no favors. Unsurprisingly, I'd saved way before I'd actually gotten to Crystal Peak. There's only one other bench in this area that I'm aware of, and I hadn't gone to it since entering the area. So, of course, in my state of panic, I was stupid, and I died. I was successfully able to beat him on my second attempt and finally save. After some exploring in Crystal Peak, I ultimately found nothing and decided to return to the Royal Waterways. I, come to regret this decision. Out of curiosity, I headed over to a mini-boss I encountered in the previous episode. But you know what they say, curiosity killed the cat. I decided to give it another shot. I thought I had the situation under control until I fell off the platform, so just don't let that happen again, right? I remembered I had the Cyclone Slash and failed miserably at using it. I thought I had it fully charged and was severely mistaken. Here's where things started to go south. You see, every time I died, I had to go through this area to get back to the mini-boss. I was tired of how long it would take to fight the enemies on the way and wanted to see if I could just ignore them. Went about as well as you can imagine. I made it back to my shade and kinda fumbled the bag here. Honestly, I'm ashamed. I made it back to my shade and actually managed to get it back, but, well, yeah. Finally, on my third attempt, I managed to get it back for good. After all of that, I was unwilling to continue on with the mini-boss. So, I moved on to another area I found in the last episode. These guys are really hard to defeat, mostly because it takes so long. After an unbelievable length of time, I successfully took them all down and could progress past this area. So of course, it's just my luck that I spent all of that time defeating those guys, just to find another route back to the City of Tears. Great. I wander around for a bit, but eventually I go back to the Royal Waterways. Immediately after finding another mask shard, I found Cornifer and bought his map. After a while, I ended up in Fungal Waste and I actually found an area on the map I just never explored. I decided to check it out and I got caught in a bit of trickery and fell into a new area. I was not prepared for the world of pain I had just fallen into. I found Cornifer and the poor bug was terrified. He gave me a nice discount on the map though. As I continued my travels, I came across something peculiar. I actually couldn't tell if I should be scared or if this was just some sort of bug in the game, maybe? Regardless, I was a little freaked out. This area was giving me the chills, and it would only get worse from here. So, during my exploration, I found an area I probably shouldn't have been able to get to. It was blocked by an enemy I had absolutely no clue how to actually damage. But by sheer luck, or maybe bad luck, I was able to get by using invincibility frames. While in this forbidden area, I found a tree and started collecting essence. Unfortunately for me, though, I ended up in a pretty bad situation. came here was to get some enemies to respawn so I could farm some soul and heal. However, just my luck, they spawn in pretty awful positions. I was not happy. And here we are. It was at this point I remembered how I had gotten into that area in the first place. There was no way I was going to squeeze my way by this time. I get my shade back and decide to explore a different part of the map. I entered this room and at first glance I assumed I couldn't actually progress here, so I leave. But don't worry, I come back. I entered this area and looked around a bit before not being able to progress further and turning back around. But at this point, I'd already forgotten why exactly I wasn't able to progress in the previous area, so I decided to go back to refresh my memory. I made it back and I had an idea I didn't necessarily think would work. To my absolute shock, it worked. And so, the pain begins. I, of course, didn't succeed on my first try, but why not give it another shot? Also, I realized I'd never saved at the bench closer to this area and had to walk all the way back. I make it back and give it another try. And I die. No big deal. It was only the second try, so I tried it again. And I died. But I tried it again. And I died. Again. I went back to the bench on my 5th attempt, and my 6th attempt, and my 7th. During my cowardly flight on attempt 8, I died on the way to the bench. Failed my 9th, and my 10th, 11th, my 12th, and my 13th. After my 8th attempt, I actually stopped retreating back to the bench, but on the 14th attempt, I thought I'd try it again. On my 15th attempt, I finally done it. I finally made it to the second part of this section. And on my last life, I actually made it all the way up to the top. And then I died. Death 16, 17, and 18. I hate to admit, but on Death 19, I pulled up my phone to see if other people struggled and found a little secret. And then I continued my search and found another little secret. I learned that once you make it to this section, you basically have unlimited attempts. And to be honest, I'm not sure I would have had the mental strength to do this section without this secret. I've been going at this for over an hour. And so, by exploiting a little secret on my 19th attempt, I did it. I did all of that for a piece of a soul vessel. You can see the disappointment on my face. I was originally going to stop playing after my hour-long struggle, but I didn't want to leave off on such a poor note. So, I found myself back in Crystal Peak. After more endless searching, I gave in once again and did some Googling to figure out what I needed to do next. And actually, it didn't really help much at all. Most of what I saw was basically telling me to just explore. There was no right answer, but I did see a few suggestions to go to Crystal Peak, which of course I was already here. And unfortunately, I was spoiled a little bit on what I would find here, but not exactly spoiled on what it would do or where it was located. And so, with some sort of goal in mind, I venture off. With 2 lives, I continue into an area I'm fairly confident I can get through. I lose my second life, and I'm down to just 1, and I think to myself, this isn't hard. I've got this. I was wrong. I made it back and get through the section easily. I should not have died here. Finally, I arrived. I could collect my prize. The Crystal Heart. With my newfound power, I ventured to areas I couldn't previously get to. Yeah, I was still figuring out the mechanic. There's, no way to cancel once you've activated the abilities, so... So, after all of that, I ended up in Dirtmouth, and I really don't remember many places this ability unlocked, but we'll leave that for the next video. And so, with that, the video is over. I really hope you enjoyed the weird voiceover thing that I had to do for this video, and who knows, maybe someday in the future I'll do something like this again just for fun. I really enjoyed that actually. It was a change of pace in editing this video. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. And with that, if you liked the video, please do leave a like and maybe subscribe and stick around to see what I do in the future. I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.